50 States of Terror may include content unsuitable for young audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Content warnings will be included in the show notes. This is Montana, the Shunka Warakin. Hello, world, and welcome back to another episode of 50 States of Terror. I am your favorite podcast host about cryptids and all spooky stuff that goes around at night, Anthony Diaz. Thank you again for listening. I am very excited for this one, primarily because I used this one in my book. I have done research on it, and this is by far one of the most fascinating ones because of the proof. Well, pictures. let's not jump into the proof word. The pictures that are out there with this thing, it is phenomenal. I absolutely love this one. And we're talking about Montana, the Shunka Warakin. But first, let me say, hey, how's it going, everybody? I do hope that you are in a good place right now. You're cozy. If you're driving, don't close your eyes and listen to my voice. I did a very short and very special episode on Valentine's Day. So this is the road to finishing out this month. I'll do Montana. I'll probably do something very special that I have plans for next week. I don't know if I'm going to finalize it next week or at least a couple of days before March starts. But I'm pretty excited about what I'm planning on doing, and it's gonna be a surprise. If you have, if you have the thoughts in your mind that you want to give me a follow, I'll do all the socials at the end. But let me get this out there right now. I am at 50 States of Terror on Facebook. On Twitter, I'm at 50 States Terror without the of because of the character limitations. Instagram at 50 States of Terror. Patreon, patreon.com/50 States of Terror. If you're feeling generous, again, I did it again, generous. If you're feeling generous and want to give some spare change, and help the show out, I would greatly appreciate it. I would forever be your best friend, your bestie. That's me, Anthony. Yeah. So let's go right into it. So yeah, Montana. Let's talk about Montana. Now, Montana was admitted to the Union in 1889, and before it was a state, areas within the present-day Montana were part of the Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Dakota territories, which were all established between 1864 and 1889. And the word Montana came from the Spanish word montaña, which in turn comes from the Latin word montania, meaning mountain. Now, in this area, before the Lewis and Clark expedition in 1804 and 1806, the indigenous peoples of Montana consisted of more than 5 different groups, like the Crows, the Cheyenne, the Blackfeet. And to understand what this creature is, we have to understand who was there first. Now, we can go hours and talk about the indigenous peoples there, where they came from, how they blended in, what happened to conflict between the 1600s, the 1700s, and the first white people to come from the East Coast, making their way west, trying to make their money, trying to make their fortune. All started in 1804 with the Lewis and Clark expedition. We can talk about that, for hours, but let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's get into the depth of it. So once Lewis and Clark made their way through Montana, behind them came the trappers and traders who were trapping, I believe, beaver pelt to make beaver hats. And when that fashion went away, of course that went away. And then what did they leave in their wake? Well, they left a lot of, devastated wildlife. And with this influx of people coming from the east, by 1860, the discovery of gold came to Montana. And with that came that rush of people from the East Coast. And what comes with the gold rush? Up cities, a rising metropolitan places and cities and towns. And then when the gold runs dry, ghost towns. So with all of this influx of people came a rapid decline of traditional hunting grounds, resources. And once everything was gone, the damage was done. And then war started to break out between the tribes and the newcomers. The one notable battle was the Battle of Little Bighorn. Victorious were the Sioux and the Cheyenne. By 1870, the land was considered public domain. Now, what does that mean? That means anybody could come to Montana, stake a claim, and bring their cattle, bring their livestock, bring their families, bring their booze, their alcohol, their diseases, everything they brought from the East Coast that were unknown to this land. They brought it. And by the 1880s, railroads were up and running in Montana. And what did that bring? Big wigs, fat cats, people who wanted to make their money any way possible. And it drove the indigenous peoples out of Montana. It's sad. It truly is. And we all know this. Should we know more about this? In my opinion, yes. But the reason I bring this up is because with this brought this story of the Shunka Warakin. Now, the Shunka Warakin stems from the Iowa tribal affiliation. And the name means carries off dogs. Now, folklore describes the beast resembling a large wolf with human-like cries. And already I am just shaking in my boots, man, because that sounds like something that they're not supposed to say out loud. And y'all know what I'm talking about. But a large wolf creature with human-like cries. And by others, it was more hyena. And locally, in Montana folklore, it was known as the Ringdonkus. And I don't know if I'm saying that right. So I'm going to say it one more time. I'm going to say it's Ringdonkus. Ringdonkus. I think it's Ringdonkus. If you're from Montana, I'm sorry. Get on social media, get on Facebook, get on Twitter, get on Instagram, get on, write me an email and properly, tell me how to pronounce that, because I don't know how to pronounce it. And that was made famous by the actual living proof that was to be believed as a creature shot by Israel Amon Hitchens in 1886. And if you are going to search for this picture, it's an amazing picture, because what do you see? You see a hyena. The same characteristics of a hyena in Montana. And later on, I'm going to tell you how everything meshes together, because that's what I do. So this makes an extremely interesting point with the taxidermy that has been studied, and it was studied, by the way, and determined to be authentic. So what's interesting about it is that it was missing for a long time, and it came up, rediscovered in December of 2007, 1 year after another sighting took place in 2006. So this thing was sitting in a store, I believe. and it went missing. And the most recent sighting up until that date was in 2006. And lo and behold, this thing comes back up and it's rediscovered again. And then what people are describing what they saw in 2006 was exactly the same as what they saw in 1886, just larger. Now, this caught the attention of my man, my homeboy, a renowned cryptozoologist, Lauren Coleman, who determined that the Shunka Warakin is a creature of unknown modern sources. And this is probably due to the fact of the historical link of what we knew existed here in the lands of Montana. And I'm going to butcher this name again. Let me give it a shot. Okay. The Chasma porthetus, or the Chasma porthetus, American hyena, and the hyenodons. Hyenodons. However you say it, hyenodons. I'll just say hyenodons because that just sounds cooler. They were massive hyena-like creatures, and these things range as height as tall as an average male's shoulder. So the crown of its head was about the same height as an average man's shoulders. So that means that the business end of it, the danger zone end of it was on the dude's chest. I was like, oh my God, I can't imagine that thing, coming at me, full speed. But that doesn't mean that it's not the biggest one, because the biggest one that we knew in the Americas was a species known as Hyenodon gigas. That was the largest one. And the smallest one was a Hyenodon horrendus, which is like I wouldn't say like a toy dog size, but I would say like maybe a between a small and medium sized dog. And those things roamed the plains of Montana. Can you believe that? I can't. And I know that these things are out there, but something that large coming straight for your dome, it's like, man, that's just scary. So let's get back to the sighting in 2006. So a lot of people out in Montana were describing this thing as a abnormally large dog and possibly shaggier than a wolf. And this thing was killing their livestock out in Montana. Now, the Montana Fish and Wildlife Parks Department, they came, later and said, well, this is probably a 4-year-old male wolf with unusually red fur coloring. But I for one, am not on that jive. No, I like to believe that there's a possibly an extinct creature roaming Montana. I mean, why not? Because in 2018, that's when things get interesting. Because a creature was shot, and this thing was odd looking. Large wolf, hyena / dog creature. It had unusual paws that didn't belong to any one specific canine species. It was shaggy like a wolf, yet it had hyena facial features. The pictures are worth a Google. Because when you look at the pictures and it's sitting, well, not sitting, obviously, it's laying on the truck bed, and there's a close-up on the head, instinctively you think it's a hyena. But when you look at the body, it looks like a large muscular wolf. And then when you get to like the hind legs, it looks like a German shepherd's large muscular hind legs. You have to see this. And it's phenomenal. And this poses an interesting question about genetics and evolution. Because we know that these creatures once ruled, the land. The Hyaenodon gigas and the Hyaenodon horridus. These things did actually walk on Montana. So the question arises, could a known extinct creature be recycling back into existence? Is there some sort of dormant gene that emerges after a few generations? Well, this evolutionary trait, has a name. It's called de-extinction, which basically boils down to the process of an extinct creature evolving into an identical like creature through the natural life cycle of said creature. So imagine something as small. Let's say just like a bird. Let's just talk birds. Okay. One bird goes extinct. The surviving species of its neighboring birds continues on. But through evolution and through the territory where it resides in, it says that a different species of bird will evolve into a almost identical like taxonomy of an extinct creature. Now, it won't be an exact copy, because what that means is that the extinct creature would just magically just come back to existence. No. That's not what they're saying. What they're saying is that other species will eventually evolve into the one that was extinct. And that's mind-boggling. Because what that mean? What that means is like, given a few million years, we'll all be long gone. But maybe there's a woolly mammoth is going to just pop up and just walk the earth again. And it does bring me hope that previous extinct creatures that became extinct because of us would come back. That would make this old U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service heart happy. But it's fascinating to think that the way that this genetic and evolutionary code it sparks this trigger of Mother Nature saying, hold up now, no, I wasn't done with this. Let me put this thing back in because y'all screwed up, y'all gone fucked up and killed off this thing. So could this be a slow evolution of a once extinct creature? Or is this something completely different and species of animal that was once told through, first people's folklore and made its way into modern tales? And why do I say modern tales? Because this creature is primarily used in my story, the book that I'm writing. Well, the book that I'll hopefully get published. I loved it so much. I fell in love with it. Because it wasn't this fantastical thing like the Snallygaster was. No, this could be a proven thing because of what we know about de-extinction and what we know once ruled this land before us. It was awesome. So right now I'm going to rate this thing. Here we have a rating system between 1 and 5. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. I'm going to rate this thing as a 4.5. This is definitely one of the top research cryptids that I just completely enjoyed. I love the cactus cat. I love the aquatic panther. I loved this one. And dare I say, this is almost up there like Mothman and Sasquatch. This is a great one. So thank you all for listening. I truly do appreciate it. Let me run down where you can find me. I'm on Facebook at 50 States of Terror. I'm on Twitter at 50 States Terror without the of because of the character limitations. Instagram, I'm on at 50 States of Terror. You see the trend here? TikTok. You can find me on TikTok. I do short little videos of recaps of little quips of cryptid stuff. I am at 50 SOT podcast. If you want to search my writing, I am on TikTok with that as well. I am at Corporal Ziggy USMC. That's CPLZIGGY USMC. And I'm on vocal.media. You can search my name, Anthony Diaz. You find all of my writings, my short stories, my contest entries that never won. You can also search for me on my Instagram. My writing, my author page is Corporal Ziggy USMC. And then on Facebook, I am at author AJ Diaz. And if you're feeling generous and you want to, chip in some spare change, I'm on Patreon as well. And on Patreon, you can get these small little exclusives, these afterthoughts, these detour episodes, these videos that I'm working on. That is patreon.com/50 States of Terror. And like always, thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate it. I don't know where this thing's going to go, but I do know that we are halfway done with the U.S. states, and I'm having a blast. I'm having so much fun. And drop me a line too. Oh, I forgot. Email. Email is 50 SOT podcast at gmail.com. Is that what that is? Let me check real quick. Why not? It's my show. I can do a little thing here and there if I want to. It's the 50 SOT at gmail.com. That's what that is. I love you all. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining me again. Later, y'all. "50 States of Terror." If you're feeling generous, again, I did it again. Generous. If you're feeling generous and want to give